Daniel adjusted his collar for the 10th time, pacing near the door and glancing at the clock. Being a single dad had taught him to handle chaos. Early mornings, late nights, parent-teacher meetings, cooking lessons that ended in flower explosions. But dating again after years of being alone? That was something entirely different. His best friend had convinced him to try a blind date, promising that the woman, Emily, was kind, genuine, and someone who understood what it meant to rebuild a life. Still, Daniel couldn't shake the nerves fluttering in his stomach. His 2 kids, Mia and Jacob, were asleep upstairs, their laughter still echoing faintly from the bedtime story he'd told them an hour ago. When the doorbell finally rang, Daniel took a deep breath, straightened his shirt, and opened the door, only to find a woman standing there in a simple blue dress, her expression soft but hesitant. "Hi," she said with a nervous smile. "You must be Daniel." Her voice trembled slightly, and before he could respond, she whispered, "My kids are in the car." For a moment, Daniel froze. The words caught him off guard, slicing through his prepared introduction. He looked past her toward the driveway, where a small sedan was parked under the streetlight, 2 small silhouettes visible in the back seat. The moment stretched between them, awkward, honest, and strangely comforting. Emily rushed to explain, her eyes wide. "I know it's unusual," she said, "but the sitter canceled last minute, and I didn't want to bail on tonight. I thought maybe it would be okay if they stayed out there for a few minutes while we just talked." Daniel blinked, then smiled gently. "You're a parent. You don't have to explain." He stepped aside and gestured toward the warmth of the house. "Go bring them in. No kid should wait alone in a car." Relief flooded her face, and within minutes, Emily returned, holding the hands of 2 shy children, a boy about 8 and a little girl maybe 5, both clinging to her as if she were their world. Daniel knelt down to their level, introducing himself softly, and within seconds, Mia and Jacob came tumbling down the stairs, sleepy-eyed but curious. What started as an awkward evening quickly transformed into laughter echoing through the living room as the 5 of them sat around the table, sharing cocoa and cookies instead of the formal dinner Daniel had planned. Emily's son, Liam, challenged Jacob to a race of paper airplanes, while her daughter, Sophie, giggled with Mia over Daniel's terrible attempt at folding one. The tension melted away, replaced by an unexpected sense of familiarity. When Daniel glanced at Emily across the table, he saw something he hadn't seen in years: warmth, exhaustion, resilience, and a glimmer of hope. As the night unfolded, they talked about everything. School lunches, the cost of soccer cleats, the strange loneliness that comes when you're both mother and father at once. Emily admitted that she'd lost her husband 3 years ago in an accident. Daniel shared that his wife had left when Jacob was still in diapers. Their pain mirrored each other's, but so did their determination to keep moving forward. Hours slipped by unnoticed. When Emily finally realized how late it was, she gasped and began to gather the kids' jackets, apologizing for overstaying. Daniel stopped her with a kind smile. "Don't apologize. This was the best date I've had, maybe ever." Emily laughed softly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You mean the first," she teased, and for the first time that night, Daniel let out a genuine laugh. As they stood by the door, Liam tugged on Emily's sleeve and whispered something that made her cheeks flush. "He said," she explained shyly, "that your house feels like home." Daniel looked down at the boy, touched beyond words, and simply nodded. The next morning, Daniel found a small note slipped under his door. It was from Emily. "Thank you for not judging. Thank you for understanding. Maybe next time, I can cook dinner for all of us." Over the following weeks, their lives intertwined naturally. Their kids became inseparable, their laughter filling every corner of Daniel's once quiet house. What began as a hesitant meeting between 2 lonely parents grew into a bond built on empathy, shared responsibility, and small, ordinary joys that somehow felt extraordinary. Months later, on a sunny Saturday, Daniel stood outside the same front door, watching Emily help the children plant flowers in the garden. He remembered that night, her soft whisper, "My kids are in the car," and how it had changed everything. It wasn't just the start of love. It was the moment he realized that real relationships aren't about perfect timing or polished appearances. They're about compassion, second chances, and 2 people brave enough to bring their whole messy lives to the table. When Emily turned, smiling, and caught him staring, she called out playfully, "What are you thinking about?" Daniel grinned, slipping his hands into his pockets. "Just the night I opened the door," he said, and found my whole future standing on the porch.